Hello everybody. I'm coming to you today from the server room, so forgive all the background noise. But we're going to talk today about business requirements documents and what goes into them and how we put them together. When we look at a waterfall model of design, when we look at the different processes that go into designing a project here, when somebody comes and gives us the prompt and says, hey, I need something, that's when we're in this initiation stage. What we're talking about today with business requirements is in the analysis stage. We're asking what needs to go into the project, what the client is expecting, and what we're going to do as part of our solution before we start moving forward into designing and then building the solution. A couple of different quotes here or ideas on what a BRD is. This comes from Chris Brown from Modern Analyst. He says the BRD contains the requirements or the what the system must do. It will also say why the business needs this. So in other words, we're not just designing a toy because the business wants a shiny toy. A business has a need, and this is where we're going to analyze what the need is and make sure that our solution fits that need. The business requirement is talking about the sponsor, and this quote comes from another business analyst. When she talks about sponsor, she means the person who is sponsoring the project, the client. It defines the objective of the project and the measurable business benefits for doing the project. In other words, one, what is it that we're trying to accomplish, and two, how is it useful and why is it important? She throws this out as kind of a thesis sentence or an idea that distills all of the ideas of the BRD into one line. She says that the purpose of whatever this project is to do something. What's the project goal? What is it going to deliver? So that, or in order to accomplish the sponsor's goal. This sentence doesn't have to appear verbatim in your BRD, but this is the theory. Your BRD needs to answer this thesis statement. So I've got an article that we're going to go through here, 10 top tips for a perfect business document. You can find this on a website called projectcourses.wordpress.com, but if you do a Google search or a Bing search for just the title of the article, 10 top tips for a perfect business document, you will find that you are in pretty good shape, although actually I realize that's a typo. That should say perfect business requirements document. But at any rate, go ahead and try and find this article. When you find it, you can do one of two things. One, I recommend you go ahead and pause the video, read the article, and then when you come back, we're going to go through it together, and that way you'll know what questions you have. But you can also put the video in the background and read through the article as you listen to my narration. Either way, go ahead and pause the video, do a search for 10 top tips for a perfect business requirements document, and then when you've found it, come back and hit play again, and we'll continue. Okay, so here is the article, Perfect Business Requirements Document. One of the key things to remember about a business requirements document is this is not a standardized form. This is not a standardized template that looks the same from everybody everywhere. Every business has their own kind of format that they like to follow, and for us, we don't necessarily have a template that we're going to follow. You can find, when it talks about standard templates, you can find these templates online. But I'm going to caution you to be careful about how you look at models online. We'll talk about that in a minute. But for right now, here's the key to start with. What makes a perfect business requirement document? The key is that this is just a document that helps you organize what you have to do at the beginning of a project. This is what puts together all the information that you need to know as you design the project so you make sure that your solution fits your client's needs. So here are the 10 top things that this author says we should include in a strong BRD. And the first is a problem statement, which is just really clearly we need to state what is the problem that the client has that we are attempting to solve. Part of that is talking about what they do right now, which is either creating the problem or is not solving the problem. In other words, right now, if the problem is it takes entirely too long for me to get my apples from my farm to the store. My current business process is, well, I'm walking from the farm to the store carrying all of my apples, and it takes me a really long time, and it's really slow because I have to make multiple trips. That's the current business process that I'm doing right now that is not solving the problem. That leads into the scope and the limitations. I am not, in that example, if I'm talking about going from a farm to a store, I am not going to invent teleportation in order to solve the problem. I also am probably not going to hire out a helicopter. It would be a possible solution, but it's pretty darn big, and it's probably outside of the scope of this poor business that's trying to hire me to solve their problems. So I got to think about what cannot be changed or improved. I can't change the laws of physics. I probably can't rewrite Jamaican traffic laws. But I also need to define limitations to set realistic expectations of the end users. So I need to make sure that my solution is something that they can manage, and that it's something that's realistic for the resources that they have. Going to come down to key business objectives. What is it specifically that the business is going to be able to achieve? If my project is I need to go out and go buy a car, my business objective is at the end of the project, I'm going to have a car. But also, when it's done, I'm going to be able to use my car to accomplish X. And this is the key right here. What does the business wish to achieve with this project? Why is it going to be good for them? Why do they need it? Why is it important? Project completion criteria is pretty straightforward. How will you know when it's done? How will you know if it's done well? This is a key point that a lot of people will overlook when you start looking at projects. Risks. Every project has risks, and it's important that you understand what those risks are. It can be kind of hard to find the risks, but think about the technology that's being involved. Think about the resources that are being committed. Think about the timeline. Think about the business's competitors, maybe. There's all sorts of room for risks to come in at different stages of the project, where the project could go wrong or the project could not meet the goal that you've set forward. Another kind of difficult one to wrap your head around at the beginning can be assumptions, which is what assumptions are you making as you look at the business and as you look at the solution, but also what assumptions is the client making about the project that they are proposing or the problem that they're proposing. All right, put on your hypothetical hat, and you have completed the project. You have solved all of the steps of the problem. You have completed a project which addresses everything in the problem, and you are in good shape. Here's the question. What is the business doing differently? Something about this business is going to change as a result of the project that you have given your client. For example, you might have changed the way that they order a product. You might have changed the way that a customer orders a product from them. You might have changed the way that they produce the product. If the business process didn't change, they wouldn't need the product. In other words, it wouldn't solve a problem that they already have. So here's what we've got to tell them. Hey, here's how you're going to do business now that you've got something different. And key along with that is also training. In other words, I just gave you a huge tool. Here's what you're going to need to know in order to operate it. What training are you going to have? Who needs the training? Does everybody need the training? Are we talking about one website manager in the company is the only person who needs the training? Think about all of the different employees or stakeholders that might interact with your product. Who needs to be trained, and what do we need to train them on? And then finally, the quality checklist. What does it mean when your product will be quality at the end? What will your product have in it that indicates that it is a quality product, that it is well done, so that the client can say at the end, yep, this is exactly what I wanted, and you hit it out of the park. So, you can reread this document, you can spend some time with this, but for right now, let's go ahead and switch back over to the slideshow. If you have been running the video in the background, go ahead and go back to pulling up the video screen so you can see what I'm doing. Otherwise, if you're just following along, we're going to zip back over to our presentation and move on. Okay, your business requirement documents. It's not just a list of the questions that we just went through. It's not going to say, number one, going from the top, this is the problem statement. Number two, this is the current process. Number three, this is the scope and limitations. You're creating a document which explains to your customer your solution to their problem in detail, but it's something that, in its heart, is telling them why you want them to use your business, why you want them to use your solution. This is what I'm going to do for you because this is the problem that I see. So take the content that you have and group it into sections and make sure that it has an order that makes sense to you, but also, more importantly, is going to make sense to the... When the user looks at your document, you want them to be able to find the information that you want, but also to really clearly understand, in terms of their problem, how you are solving it. So there's not a specified order of elements here. Just think about what makes the most sense to you as you put together all of the elements that go into this document. All right. There are lots of models online. If you just do a quick search for business requirements documents template, you're going to get hundreds of different companies' templates and models. But there is a problem here.
Danger, Will Robinson, danger. Danger, Will Robinson, danger.
When you look at these things online, they're huge and they're really complex. Part of it is that they are written for problems that are much, much larger than the one we're looking at right here, than most of the ones you're going to see in this course. But another part of it is that these are written by massive companies with lots of people involved in it. Keep it small. Don't over-engineer the problem. Don't give way more information than needs to be given, and don't feel the need to fluff up everything that you've got with 16 paragraphs of text when really you're just trying to make one point. Make it small, make it concise, make it efficient, but remember to make it technically accurate enough that you are specific in your answers and that your answers communicate technically what it is that you're trying to convey. All right, so there is, in a nutshell, your business requirements documents. Now, as with anything in here, if you have a question about terminology, you have a concept, you're a little bit hazy on some of this, take it to the forum right here in Moodle underneath Big Stuff. If you go to the content forum, this is where you can post questions. Everybody is subscribed to this, so if you post a question, everybody can go in and look at it and say, all right, I'm a little bit hazy on exactly what the risks for this project might be, who's got some ideas, and we'll start the discussion there. I'll be posting in there as well as everybody else, so if you have some questions, that is the place to go.